Hi, Sam here. Well, we've been doing a few on a balloon recently, and I decided to finish it off with one last one on the balloon. What we're going to be doing is showing letting go of a balloon, but on a windy day. So in the last episode, we showed using a new feature called magnets, but the balloon didn't move around like we did in the previous windy one. So this one, I'm going to show you how to get those two features to work together. This one's probably a little bit more advanced than some of the other episodes, but hang in there. The end result's pretty cool. Okay, so let's bring up the Wookie where we're up to. So we've got our Wookie. Let's have a look at, see where we got him up to. So in the hierarchy, we had two parts. We had the balloon and we had the Wookie, Chewie. In the balloon, it just had a single layer. And in Chewie, we've got the actual artwork down here, Wookie photo, and we had this hand. And just as a quick refresher, the two hands had two layers. They're actually both completely blank, but the holding layer has a magnet on it, and the releasing layer does not. And so, I can move it down there. So the releasing layer just basically, we use what's called a swap set over here under the trigger panel. So when you see this symbol here, it means a swap set. So it'll either be holding or releasing. So when we press the R key, the holding layer goes away and the releasing layer kicks in. And so what will happen is because the holding layer's got the magnet on it, it'll hold and the magnets will stick. And then when we switch, I press the R key and the releasing layer will kick in, then the releasing layer will kick in. And yeah. Oh, what did I do there? I'm clicking the wrong button. I'll just click on the Wookie again. Cool. So let's have a look and let's get through the artwork for this. So I've just done Control E, which brought up Photoshop on the file. And similar to the puppet hierarchy, we've got the two parts, the balloon and Chewie. So we're not going to touch Chewie, but we're going to change the balloon. So what we're going to do is the problem we had last time is when we attached the magnet directly to the balloon, we couldn't use the dangle behavior anymore. It didn't work. Or if I put dangle on it, the magnet wouldn't work. So they didn't like being on the same level. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to cheat. Okay, maybe not quite cheat. What we're going to do is to put a little circle down the bottom here at the top level and put the magnet on that. And then we're going to attach the balloon to the magnet as another nested layer using what's called independent layers, which is what these leading plus symbols are as well. And what that will do is then the balloon will be able to dangle and blow in the wind, but it'll be attached to a circle, which is attached to the hand, and that extra level of indirection solves our problem. So how do we go about doing that? Well, we come over to the balloon, and I'm going to group, because I want to create a group layer. And if I click group from layers, and I'm going to call it balloon with handle, so we know what it is. And so now I've got a plus balloon with handle. That means it's independent. And underneath it's got a balloon. And we're going to put another layer down here. So we've got the two layers side by side. And this layer is going to be the handle. And it doesn't start with a plus. So it's going to be directly underneath the balloon with handle. And then the balloon is going to be independent again. And I'll show you in the hierarchy in a moment. So, okay, so we picked a handle. I'm going to pick a shape. I guess we could do a little polygon, because then it comes a little bit, makes it a bit funky. Oops. And I'm going to move that over his hand. And then we want the balloon in front of the handle. So I'm going to drag that up. And in actual fact, we don't even need to see the handle. So I'm actually going to make it invisible. So there is that object there, but you can't see it. And Character Animator is still going to use it, so all should be good. And I think that's all we need to do. So we've now got this extra independent layer, balloon with handle. Underneath that, we've got the balloon, and it's going to attach to the handle. And let's have a look what's happened over here now. So the hierarchy now is we've got balloon with handle, which is independent. Underneath that is a balloon, which is independent. Underneath that is the image layer of the balloon. And then we've got this handle. You can't see it, but it is there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by attaching the handle. The handle is a part of the balloon layer. So we're going to take the balloon with handle. We're just going to check up in its state. It's going to be free because at the top level it's not attached to anything. It's completely independent. It can move off on its own. That's why we use the free. And then the balloon, we want to use auto. Very rarely do you use anything other than auto. You will see other values in there. Just set it to auto if you don't know what you're doing. I don't think I've ever used anything but auto in there. And then we want that hinge so it rotates nicely. And then we're going to take the origin, which is a little dotted mark, and we're going to drag it down over that pentagon. Now you notice the pentagon turns green, and that means we can attach it. So now the balloon is attached successfully, and we've got a little green circle there to the handle. And what we're going to do is I'm going to drop a little, I have to put a plus symbol in front of the handle. Oh no, I'll do it up here. Okay, I'm going to drop a, you can only drop handles on group layers, so I had to drop it up on the root level one, which is not a problem. I just was trying to drop it on handle, and that was a mistake. So I drop it on the parent, and I'm going to put magnet behavior on that. And we want it to be dynamic. And I'll leave collide on it as well. So it's actually now only going to be the handle that's dynamic and collidable, but that's going to be okay. And then we come down to the balloon. Balloon with handle. I'm going to move that down. I don't really think I actually need to, but it's logical. So what this is saying, here is where the root or the anchor, the origin of the balloon is. And since that's where it's going to rotate, that seems to be the most logical place. And then the balloon I've pulled down here already, but I haven't put a dangle on it. And I want to put the dangle up there because I want it to sway in the wind. Cool. Okay, if I click right up at the top here, what I want to start doing is we want the balloon to go upwards. So I've changed the gravity direction property to point up, which I could just type in a 0 in there, for example. I'll get it directly up. And the 10, so now it's going up, and I'm going to give it a little bit of wind just to make it interesting. I'm going to make the wind go slightly to the side. A little bit of variation on the wind down here. Just put in a small number to act like a gusty wind. So what this should do now is it should sway and bob around in the wind if all's going well. And when I hit the R key, it should swap from the holding to the release, which should let go of the magnet. Let's see if it all works first time. Of course it will work first time. You trust me, don't you? I don't. Okay, so you can see it's blowing in the wind there. And that wind looks a little bit too strong. Let's come back to the rig. Physics, wind strength. Let's go with, say, 5. Dangle. Have we got anything special in dangle? No, it's just normal stiffness. One handle. These handle things in here is useful for debugging purposes, by the way. If I open it up, it says, look, it's the dangle is attached to parts, balloon with a handle, balloon. And so you can work out where the dangles are in your artwork. So it's useful. And I've got a collide layer and dynamic. So it's useful to work out what's going on when you've got the strange things. Okay, so let's go back to record. And it's still blowing around in the wind. And you can see now the balloon is a lot more dynamic. It's swaying around the wind. And when we hit the R key, it should blow away. It always gone. Now, because I put collide and dangle, dynamic, the collide, you can actually just see the handle up there. So if I grab this guy's hand, I should, I think, be able to... Oh, I thought I should be able to grab it back again. Maybe because it's off the screen too far. Oh well. This is still a 2-hour thing, and it's to reset the scene. If you hold down the Alt key, it flashes a whole lot of caches as well. If things go strange, it can sometimes be useful. So, here we are. We've got our puppet with the balloon, with the dangle and the wind. And if I hit the R key, we let go, and away it goes. And this is something funny about, I don't know really why it's doing that, but that was all we're after. So cool. So coming back to the rig, so the trick to this was the layering. And as you get into Illustrator more and more, you'll discover this depth, this hierarchy of the tree is really, really important. And so the levels and the grouping you do in your artwork is how Character Animator knows how to control your puppets. So you're going to have to learn. You don't just draw it any arbitrary fashion. You do things like I put the balloon layer above the handle layer to make it appear in front of it. But I made handle invisible, so it didn't really matter in this case. But the ordering makes a difference in terms of depth, and the nesting makes a difference. And so you've got to plan out these structures really carefully. And that's true. It gets even truer when we're going to get into Illustrator files later on. That's for another time. Thanks for watching, and look forward to seeing you. Oops. You might wonder why I do so many clicks all around the place. Well, the problem is I'm trying to use Character Animator for my character while demonstrating Character Animator doing all sorts of other things. Doesn't always work very well. But it's cool. So, see you next time.